It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Joining us now is the great investigative journalist Miranda Devine, columnist at the New York Post. And you wrote this great column, Miranda, where you talked about a Democratic fundraiser, and you mentioned Act Blue playing a role stealing a GOP strategist's identity to make donations. That's what the lawsuit alleges. Talk us about that.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. This is really a scandal, and it adds to the Act Blue donations platform for the Democrats scandal that's been brewing for quite a while. We've had a congressional committee run by Republicans that's been investigating these very suspicious donations. And now we have an actual human being. He's a Republican strategist named Mark Block from Wisconsin. And he had an old email address that he never used. And he had a look at it just recently, and he found that there were something almost 385 donations made in his name, stealing his identity to Act Blue, which then funneled them through to various left-wing organizations, including a number of them, several dozen, were to Kamala Harris's, one of Kamala Harris's campaign funds. And he discovered these, and it's not a lot of money, but it's a small amount of money that's been going regularly, that he's been getting receipts for, that he hasn't paid for, that some anonymous person that in his lawsuit is called John Doe, who's based in California in Santa Monica, has been paying these little amounts to these various left-wing causes via Act Blue since between May and October. There were 400. So this is regular. They were monthly, weekly, and one-off donations. And he discovered them, and it works perfectly with this investigation that the Republicans in the House have mounted into Act Blue. They say tens of thousands of these unwitting donors like Mark Block have been also, their identities been stolen to try and launder large donations through to Democrat causes, left-wing causes like Kamala Harris's campaign by splitting them up into tiny amounts to circumvent federal donations laws and the limits that are imposed on the amounts that one donor can provide.
Wow. By the way, that is a wow. Sort of these fake names or real names, but used and fake, assuming that they're obviously illegal donations, clearly. Judge Weinberg, this is stunning.
Miranda, the amazing thing about it, based on your reporting and what the House committee has done and the referrals over to the attorneys general across this is nationwide. This is not an isolated instance. This is an organized campaign for fraud, for money laundering. What say you?
Absolutely. And this is, in fact, this lawsuit that Mark Block, one of these victim donors, unwitting donors, has mounted in Wisconsin. But the House committee chairman by the name of Scheel, he has sent referrals to the attorneys general in a number of different states, also alleging that there are victims within their state, maybe 6 states in the United States, that also have had their identities stolen to fraudulently benefit the Democratic Party via these left-wing causes.
I have a question for the attorneys in the room. I mean, this is obviously clearly illegal. What are the crimes and what can be done from a legal perspective? I mean, this is outrageous.
You have money laundering, you have wire fraud, you have basic common law fraud.
I mean, this is...
Yeah, but that's small compared to the allegations that were made that there are countries kicking back, dark money.
Oh, but that's,
hundreds of millions. I understand.
Okay, yeah, that's a whole other right.
The fact of the matter is, a lot of this money allegedly is coming from foreign countries that it's being laundered through.
Yeah, do we know where the money's coming from?
But what about the money coming in from the CCP? I mean, and that's all cash that's getting funneled into, I know there's a lot of, I won't say who they are, but there are a lot of candidates that I know of that were getting money funneled in from the CCP, and it was getting converted from cash into bank accounts, and that's all illegal money.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, Miranda, to Craig's point, where is the money? Do we know where this money is coming from? The quote John Doe money?
Yeah, there is a lot of circumstantial evidence and whistleblower evidence to say that this money is coming not just being funneled and laundered through these unwitting American donors, but it's actually originated from foreign countries like China, like Ukraine, and it's being laundered by the Democratic Party to circumvent federal election laws and the limits that are placed on contributions, and particularly on contributions from overseas, which are illegal. And so that's why this lawsuit, it seems small. I mean, it's $850 odd, but it's almost 400 donations, 35 of them through to Kamala Harris, that have been parceled up into tiny amounts under $200, because if it's under $200, it doesn't have to be reported to the Federal Election Commission. And that's how the fraud works. They basically will take, multi-million-dollar donations or like bribes from
and they put it through a computer at $1.99 each.
Exactly. And you do that enough and you have, and that's what the beauty of this brilliant congressional investigation is, because what they did was they knew that there was a crime there through whistleblowers, but how do you actually, it's almost the perfect crime. So what they did was they got some very clever sort of analysts, and they used big data and artificial intelligence to look at FEC contribution records for the last 14 years. And they saw anomalies in there where, for instance, you had people donating money way beyond their financial ability to do so. You had elderly people making regular contributions that they would never have done. You've got just these sort of ridiculous patterns where people are obviously unwitting donors. And so the AI picked up the patterns, and then it comes down to how do you, in a court of law, verify that these patterns correlate with human beings. And Mark Block is the first of these lawsuits, but there will be many more to come. And eventually they trace back to the foreign origins of this dirty cash.
Which is why you have to have an independent congressional investigation, not controlled by the Democratic
Party. But it went
to
19 attorney generals. Is there one of them? Have we gotten any reports? Is there one of them that's working harder on it than others?
Not yet, but, there are Missouri, for instance, Andrew Bailey. I mean, there are other attorneys general. They're all sadly Republicans. I mean, this should be a bipartisan issue because both sides can circumvent the law and create a situation where you've got foreign oligarchs or the CCP controlling our elections. This should not be a partisan issue, but unfortunately,
is it possible that Kamala Harris collected $1 billion in 3 months?
Well, John, you've said it, and your mail is very good, so I think it's very possible.
Yeah, wow, that is a stunning. These are bombshells. Keep us posted. Very much.
I've been 90% correct on my allegations, mostly.